Hey guys, this is Carl Laters, and we're over here at the Mount Juliet Library, and we're in the second of a four-part series about the American Revolution. If you remember when COVID first hit, we did these big long lessons, about 45 minutes long, and we found out that most of you guys preferred the little bite-sized lessons. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a bite-sized lesson. Last week we were talking about reasons why people came to the New World. One of the most important things that England had to do with the American colonies was to encourage people to come to the New World. The manner in which they did that allowed it for people to actually make a substantial amount of money. We call that the profit motive. That's the reason why Scrooge McDuck came here. Whether it was from Columbus all the way down, people realized that coming to the New World meant that you had to risk your life and you had to go and you had to do without a lot of things. For example, if you needed something back then, you didn't just go running down to the local Publix, you had to make it yourself, okay? So to encourage people to come to the New World, England engaged in something that we call salutary neglect. Salutary neglect is basically the English government telling the American colonists, go ahead guys, do your own thing. We'll provide protection. We'll provide economic support. We'll provide everything you need. We just want to make it possible for you guys to get off to a good start. We're not even going to expect anything in return. And it stayed like that until after the French and Indian War. The French and Indian War was fought both in Europe and over here in the New World, okay, for control of the French and English colonies. This was a real threat to the English colonists, having the French right next door to them. The end result of the French and Indian War is France loses all of that land. France is gone. This provides for a greater amount of security for the people living here in the New World. So far, so good. Now, England turns around to the colonists and says, you know what, guys? We just paid big bucks to provide protection for you guys. Wouldn't it be nice if you kind of kicked in a couple of bucks, a couple of shillings, so that you can help us out? Predictably, Americans who were so terribly spoiled at this point in time, they reacted in a predictable manner. No way! What do you think, I'm gagoots? I'm not going to give you a dime. Out of the 13 colonies, only 3 of them provided anything, and most of what they provided was just really virtually nothing, just a token. Well, England is now ticked off. They did all this for the American colonies under the policy of salutary neglect. Now that we want something in return, we're not going to get it. Plus, take a look at that map over there. All the areas in pink used to belong to France. Now they belong to England, and as far as the American colonists are concerned, now they belong to us. The problem is England now has a much wider area that they've got to provide protection for. As more and more colonists like Daniel Boone start to migrate across the Appalachian Mountains, the contact that's going to occur between the colonists and the American Indians was going to lead to all sorts of problems. It was very expensive, very dangerous for England to provide that protection, so they solved the problem by way of something called the Proclamation of 1763. Take a look at this map over there. The area in the lightest shades, okay, between where the colonies are and the Mississippi River, those were areas that were gained by the English as a result of the French and Indian War. And the American colonists like Daniel Boone said, hey guys, let's go on out over there. But what the English said is this: we're going to take the Appalachian Mountains and everything east of the Appalachian Mountains up until the Atlantic Ocean. That area is the only area that you're going to be allowed to settle in the New World. The colonists turned around and said, whoa, wait a second. You promised us the ability to make money. Now here's an opportunity for us to get that land, and you're not going to let us do that? They felt that England was breaking their word. England, on the other hand, just simply said, you know what? We're just simply ending the policy of salutary neglect. By keeping you guys there east of the Appalachian Mountains, that makes it easier for us to provide protection for you. We're doing you a favor. I like to make an analogy over here, folks, okay? think of the American colonies as being like a spoiled, rotten little kid. Not that any of you have ever raised kids like that, okay? But what happens is, if you give a kid whatever they want, okay, you give in to them when they're 5, when they're 6, when they're 7, by the time they hit 9 or 10, they're spoiled, rotten, and they're creating all sorts of problems. Now what the parents have got to do is they have to start to provide some structure for the kids. Now these kids are over here who have gotten everything that they wanted. Now they're going to resist the parents. They're going to resent the parents. That's exactly what it was with the colonists. They resented England. They had had their way for such a long time. And now England, as far as the colonists are concerned, they're going to fall on top of them like an old building. The Proclamation of 1763 is just going to be the very first in a whole series of acts that are going to be created by the English government to regulate, to control, and to tax the American colonists. Take a look at all of these actions that were done by the English government. Okay, guys, relax, calm down. We're not going to do it all. We're only going to do a couple of key ones, okay? However, I do have homework for you. Oh, come on, man, you never give us homework. Stop your whining. All I want you to do is this. A couple of months ago, we filmed what we felt was a really nice video where we've got the American colonists on one side and the King of England on the other side. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be trying to take a balanced look as to what the American laws were that were created by the English government. So there's the link for that. I'd like you to go back and take a look at it, the English side of the American Revolution and the American side of the Revolution. See you next week, guys.